We are going to be working on lesson 5.2 today. So we are going to be looking at ratios and rates that we talked about yesterday and those three ways that we can write them. But today we're going to be looking at them in a table or on a graph. So the first thing I want you to do is we're going to read this Spark Your Learning, and then you're going to go work on that. So Cameron uses her kitchen with an eco-friendly cleaning solution. She uses 4 tablespoons of baking soda for every 1 quart of warm water. So we know our ratio is 4 to 1, or we can even write it backwards and say warm water is 1, 4 tablespoons of baking soda. So I want to know how she can make different amounts of the cleaning solution, but it has to be equivalent. So you can't just say, oh, she's going to use 2 tablespoons of baking soda and 7 quarts of water. That won't give her the same solution. So she wants to make the same solution, 4 tablespoons of baking soda to 1 quart of water. So you're going to go and model how she could make a different but equivalent amount of cleaning solution, and then go ahead and finish the Spark Your Learning. So go ahead and pause the video and do your Spark for Learning. Okay, so I thought of the Spark for Learning in a couple different ways here. So the first thing I thought of was I could make a table, and I have, there's an extra A in there. So I could make a table to say I have 4 tablespoons of baking soda to 1 quart of water. So if I want to double that, that would mean I make 8 tablespoons of baking soda and 2 quarts of water. I could even triple this. So 4 times 3 is 12. And just like fractions and equations, whatever you do to one side, you do the same thing to the other. So 1 times 3 is 3. And I could keep going. I could do 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 4 is 4. And all of these, when I simplify them, simplify to 4 and 1. So that's one way, is you could use a table. Another way is I could just write the ratio, and I could say this equals, remember, if I do double dots, that's like an equal sign, because I could connect it and make an equal sign. And I'm going to double the 4 is 8, and double the 1 is 2. So notice 8 compared to 2, 8 to 2. I could say that is equal to 4 times 3 is 12, and 1 times 3 is 3. And I could keep on going. So notice whatever I put in my table is what I'm putting as my ratios, but these all simplify. If I divide these both by 2, 8 divided by 2 is 4, 2 divided by 2 is 1. They all simplify back to this basic ratio of 4 to 1. So we're going to be looking at these tables today to help us understand rates and ratios a little better. So let's go ahead and flip to task 1. So in task 1, it tells us that Hank has a recipe that calls for 1 cup of sour cream. So here's our 1 cup of sour cream and 4 cups of milk. So we can see those stacked. 1 sour cream, 4 cups of milk. So before we go on and answer these questions, I have a few questions first for you. So first, I want you to see what kind of patterns you notice. So go ahead and pause the video and look for any patterns in this chart here. So I noticed that 1 to 4, I had to get there by timesing 4. And I did the same thing here. 2 times 4 is 8. So that's one pattern I noticed was going across. I also noticed a pattern going down. To get here, I times by 2. 1 times 2 is 2. And I did the same thing over here. 4 times 2 is 2. So everything we're doing is going to follow a pattern when you have a constant rate. So now let's talk about what is the ratio of sour cream to milk. So when we have sour cream first to milk, pause and write down what that would look like. So I think it would look like 1 to 4. I could write it 1 to 4 or 1 to 4. So 3 different ways to write that. So I need a fourth of the sour cream than I do milk. So that fraction kind of helps me think about how much it is compared to the other one. So now pause and see if you can write down the milk to sour cream ratio. So that one would just be the opposite. I could say it's 4 to 1. 4 divided by 1 is 4. So I need 4 times the milk, or I can do that backwards, a fourth of the sour cream. I can say it's 4 to 1 or 4 to 1. So lots of ways to write the same thing, but these fractions here really help us think. I need a fourth of the sour cream, right? I would need to make 1, 2, 3, 4 more. So I need a fourth of it, or I need 4 times the milk. Okay, so go ahead and see if you can finish the chart here. So fill these in, what would come next. So go ahead and pause and then come back and check that. So 1, 2, so I'm noticing this is counting by 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is counting by 4s. 4, 8, 12, 16. And I can even check. So I said I had a times by 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12 because I need 4 times the amount of milk. And 4 times 4 is 16. I could go backwards and divide by 4 to make it 4 times smaller. I can check this way. To get to 1 to 3 is times by 3. 4 times 3 is 12. 1 times 4 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. So lots of ways to figure those out, but it should follow those same patterns. So now let's think, we don't have 9 on our chart here, but if he used 9 cups of sour cream, so if I put a 9 here, I want you to pause and see if you can figure out how much milk he would need. So I'm going to say, I'm going to come to here. To get from 1 to 9, I would have to times by 9. So I've got to do the same thing here and times by 9. 4 times 9 is 36. I also noticed a pattern that I had to times this by 4. It was 4 times bigger. 9 times 4 is 36. So even without just filling out the chart, we can figure out different amounts using that same pattern. What you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So go ahead and pause and complete all of the questions on task 1, and then come back when you are ready to do task 2. So task 2 is talking about Kim, and she is taking a dance class. The dance studio offers classes in blocks. So you can either sign up to take 5 classes, and that will cost you $90. You can take 8 classes, and that will cost you $120. You can take 10 classes, and that will cost you $140. So you decide how many classes you want to take and how much you want to pay. So a couple words we need to talk about here is, first, we have a rate. So all of these are rates. So 5 classes for $90, 8 classes for $120, 10 classes for $140. It was comparing 2 quantities of different units. This is classes, this is money. So I compared. So those are all just the rates. The unit rate is going to tell us how the second quantity as a 1. So if I was just talking about one class and I wanted to find out how much one class cost, that would be the unit rate. The unit rate is what helps us figure out which is the best deal. So if I were trying to find out, I have $90 and I'm dividing that into 5 classes. And when I split it into 5, that's going to tell me how much one class cost. So I can make these proportions here and set these up. So notice my money is going to be on top and I'm dividing by C for classes. Money on top, classes on the bottom. So we're looking for the money when classes is on the bottom. So I can think to myself, how did I get from 5 to 1? Well, I got 5 times smaller. I divided by 5. And remember, whatever you do to the bottom, you have to do to the top here. So 90 divided by 5. So go ahead and pause and figure out 90 divided by 5. So 90 divided by 5 goes in there one time. 4 left over. There's, whoops, yeah, I don't know why I put 4 there. So let me erase that. I got ahead of myself and I already knew the answer. Okay, so 1 times 5 is 5. How about that? And 4 left over. That makes more sense. And 5 goes into 48 times. So every class cost $18 if they only buy 5. So we want to figure out how much these classes cost and the 10 block classes to see which one is the best deal. So go ahead on a board or your paper here and let's set up this. So we know we want money on top because we're trying to find how much one class costs. So that's going to go on the bottom. So if I have $120 and I'm splitting that up into 8 groups, and we're trying to find one class here, and we're looking for the money. So to get from 8 to 1, we divided by 8, and 120 divided by 8. So go ahead and pause the video and find that. So 120 divided by 8. I know it can't go into 1. Goes into 12 one time. 1 times 8 is 8. Gosh, I almost put 4 again there because I know what the leftover is. And there's 0. 8 goes into 40 5 times. So if they buy 8 classes, yes, they have to pay a little bit more up front, but their classes are only $15. So they're getting more classes for cheaper. So yeah, they have to pay more at the beginning, but they're actually getting a better deal if they buy 8 classes. So I want you to go ahead and see if you can figure out, using the same strategy, how much the classes for 10 cost. So put the money on the top, divided by 10, and we're trying to, so money on the top, I'll even help you set it up here. We're dividing it by 10, and we're trying to figure out how much one class cost. So go ahead and see if you can finish that problem there and then come back and check. Okay, so to get from 10 to 1, I'm dividing by 10, and I have to do the same thing on the top, divide by 10. So 10 goes into 140 14 times. So the best deal, yes, I have to pay more money at the beginning, but I'm getting my classes for $4 less than the 5 block class. So the best deal, if you have $140, is to pay for 10 classes at the beginning, will actually save you money. Because if I bought a block of 5 classes and then decided, oh, I'm going to take 5 more, 5, and you paid in 2 separate things. So I'd have to times these both by 2, and then I'd have 10 classes. And 90 times 2 is 180. So if you changed your mind and decided to take more classes later, you'd be paying $40 more than if you just paid for all 10 classes at the beginning. Okay, so go ahead and pause the video and see if you can answer all of the questions on task 2 here. Let's go ahead and tell me, what is the rate for the classes? And then we found the unit rate by dividing here. How much is the block of 5? Tell me what you did. Repeat for 8. Then you're going to show me how you found 10 and finish answering those questions here. And then go ahead for your turn and talk and tell me, what is the difference between a rate and a unit rate? Then come back when you are ready to do task 3. Hey, task 3 has Tova earning money, and he's pet sitting for friends and neighbors, and she's earning the same amount every hour. So every hour earns the same amount. So after 2 hours, she earned $40. So we want to do the same thing. So now it says she pet sat for 2 hours, or for 4 hours, 2 to 4. I had it times by 2. So I'm going to do the same thing here and do 40 times 2. So go ahead and pause the video and fill that in. Okay, now I can see we're looking for the hours here. So to go from 40 to 120, I had to times by, 40, 80, 120. So I times by 3 here. So now I need to take 2 times 3 and fill in that table here. So go ahead and get your table filled out. So I know, and then I can even check it this way. 2 times 20 is 40. Times by 2 is 80. 4 times 20 is 80. And then 40 times 3 was 120. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 20 is 120. So your patterns, both ways, up and down and across, need to follow that same pattern every time. So we can also take this information and we can put it on a graph. So this first number is going to be our X. This is the one that goes over. And then the second number is always going to be Y, and it's the one that goes up or down. So I always like to think of these as an elevator. If I'm at a hotel, first I'm on the floor and I have to walk to the elevator. Then the elevator can take me up or down. I can't just pop out of my room and say, poof, I want to go up or down. You have to walk over to the elevator, then go up or down. So if I'm graphing this one, this first one is 2, so over 2. So here's 2. And then I'm going to go up 40 and put a dot there. So next I have over 4, up 80. So over 4, up to 80. And then I have over 6, up 120. So over to 6, up to 120. And then I can connect these to show how much she's making as she continues at this constant rate here. So now my question wants to know, okay, that's frozen for some reason, so we'll just talk about it. How much would she make after 1 hour? So I could use this chart to come over here and say, here's 1 hour. So every hour she's making $20. So times by 2 is 40, times by 3 is 60. So in 3 hours, she made $60. In 4 hours, she made 180. So these charts can help you see how much is happening at the unit rate. So every hour is a unit, and she's making $20. So the unit rate takes it down to 1 hour. So you can see if you keep that up, how much you would make. I can see in 5 hours, she would make $100. So go ahead and complete task 3 here. So go ahead and see if you can answer all of these questions on task 3. And then you're going to make sure you click I'm done when you are done with this and do your check for understanding.